Okay, welcome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Today we have another solo episode, and I am going to be talking about leverage, scaling, building a team, and building a company. So the intersection that we are headed into right now over the course of the next 6 months, what I like to think of is kind of like that one curve where you either make a decision that you're going to slow down or you decide that you're just going to hit the gas and pin it. And we all have a decision to make. Are we going to hit the gas and drop the clutch, or are we going to retreat? Well, I know damn well I'm not retreating. I'm hitting the gas and I'm not letting off it. So, guys, the fastest way to financial freedom and actually growing a sustainable business is by building out a team. It's by building a company. It's about building something that's sustainable, something that can live on for generations. Solo entrepreneurship can only take you so far. The other thing about solo entrepreneurship is it's a very lonely space. So I'll tell you a quick story. When I went full time in the business back in 2017, I can remember coming home and saying to my wife sometimes, like, I'm lonely. And I think she thought I was nuts, but it's a really lonely place to not be in a corporate setting, to not have a team, to not have a company. So I decided that I was best served by starting to not only surround myself with other people that were winning at a high level, but also start to get the wheels in place to build a team, because it's so much more fun. It's so much more energetic when you have a team of people around you and you're all winning and you're all doing awesome stuff. So another very common misconception that many make about solo entrepreneurship is the mistake of thinking that they are running a business. So I have a news flash. If you have no one working for you, AKA your bank account relies solely on the contribution of your own sales of, basically you go out there, you hunt, you kill, you bring it back home, and that's what you and your family rely on. You are at massive risk for not only disruption, but God forbid something were to happen to you and you didn't have another income to fall back on, or you had to start tapping into the savings. I really think that, especially in the day and age that we're in, and especially for the listeners that we have of this podcast, you guys are all warriors. And I know you're listening to this for a reason. You're listening to this to get better. You're listening to this to level up. You need to go out there and actually build a business, right? Tell you another quick story. It's story time today on the podcast. So a dear friend of mine, she's in the healthcare space and she's a sole practitioner. I've been on her case for quite some time about finding her mini-me, and we're going to talk more about the mini-me. And she actually had a bad fall. It was an accidental fall, and she wound up really banging up her arm. I think she might have broke her arm in a couple of places. She's out of work for 3 to 5 months while she has a house under construction and she has a family. So you can only imagine what starts to happen when you don't put things in place to really create the leverage that you need to live a life by design, to really get out there and have something that churns even while you're not in the day to day. And I remember in my early days just how beautiful it was to be able to be on the beach or to be traveling. I can remember being in Disney World and team members closing sales. So there's really just an awesome thing that happens when you start to build yourself with like-minded people and surround yourself with like-minded people that are all moving towards the same objective. So I think that one of the biggest lessons that I want to drive home, especially for the high-performing entrepreneurs out there, is start to identify who is that mini-me. Who is the person that lives up to your values, your rituals, your level of customer service, your follow-up, your intensity, your tenacity, and start to mold that person or start to have the conversations about what it would be like for them to come in your world. And right now, many in the real estate space, especially, this podcast is Real Estate Phenoms, many in the real estate space are starting to get concerned about what do the next 6 months look like mainly due to the inventory crisis that we're in. The easiest solution that I can give you guys is to start recruiting, start getting the word out that you're building a team, you're building an army, you're building a movement, right? There's so many people that are looking for guidance, they're looking for coaching, they're looking for leads, and they're really looking for a place to call home. I think what happened is over the course of the last couple of years, for many people, it got easy. Now, I would never say that real estate is easy because, as we all know, there's many challenges that come along with transactions. There's many challenges that come along with running a company. However, sales seem to happen a lot more naturally. We didn't have all the situations, the economic situations that we have now. Inflation wasn't out of control. We weren't at near 8% interest rates. We had actual inventory to sell. And you could get a call from a buyer. You could go out, you could show them some homes. They had FOMO. They wanted the 2.75% rate. And you could put deals together a lot easier than you can right now. And what we're finding is that now that kind of the tide has gotten pulled out and you really see who's swimming naked out there in the ocean, people are starting to put their hand up and they're starting to ask for guidance. So I think that another thing that we forget as leaders and as real estate phenoms is that not everyone was born to be a leader. Many people are born to be followers. And what I'm here to tell you today is that's okay. If the world were filled with just a bunch of crazy lunatic drivers, this would be an insane existence. Ask my wife, I'm sure she would agree. So if you're listening to this right now, I know that you want to build something. I know that maybe you want to build something that's even better. Maybe you want to recreate, right? I'm going through right now a recreation of the design of my team and the design of my movement. It's going to look a lot different. There's going to be a lot more investing pieces involved. There's going to be a lot more solutions-based selling. There might even be another arm that's insurance, right? To be able to have a product that's not limited to the amount of inventory that we can actually sell somebody, and to help them to really protect their family for the future. So I also want you to remember this. There's different stages in the journey of building a company and starting to get out of solopreneurship. The stages of the journey are I did it, then it's we did it, and then it's they did it. So the magic really starts to happen when it's they did it. Because when you're sitting on the beach in the Caribbean and you know that you've trained your people the right way, you've empowered your admin staff, you've really put the right pieces in place for people to be able to make decisions, for people to be able to close sales, to do the right thing when no one's watching. That's really when the magic begins to happen, when you reach that point of they did it. So I really want you guys to think about that, especially everybody right now that's listening to this call and it's just you. And maybe you've hit the point of burnout, or maybe you've recovered from burnout, but now you're concerned about the winter months ahead. I really want you guys to go back and listen to this again and make today the day that you decided that you're going to build a company, you're going to build an empire, you're going to build a legacy, whatever that looks like. So I want to give you some more tips on the journey of making 2024 the year that you built that company or you started to build out that team. So the first tip that I want to give you is to focus on the vision for the team. What happens is a lot of people, they start to say things like, we're going to do it. We're going to build the team. This is going to be awesome. We're going to make so much money. We're going to make so many sales. But they fail to realize that without putting a vision in place, no one knows where the company is going, right? And if you don't have a vision for the people that are on your team, that they know the direction of the company, things start to go sideways real quick. So the first step and the first exercise that I would suggest for you to do is start to map out the vision. The next, I would map out some financial models, okay? I would start to put the models in place so that your team members can see when they're interviewing you and you're interviewing them about what does the financial upside look like? What does the lifestyle piece look like? for many people, they may just want to be able to get their weekends back, or maybe 1 or 2 weekends a month. Maybe they have small kids at home. They're tired of taking calls at 8, 9 o'clock at night. What does the leverage look like for the team? What does the big opportunity look like? If they come out and they crush it the first year, do they have a chance to go up in their override or in their split, right? So I think that you need to be coaching people, you need to be casting that vision and the modeling for not only just what does the first 6 months look like, or what does the first year look like, what does the next 3 years look like in your world? What do the next 5 years look like? Some of the other conversations for those that are further along in the journey, I think, would be, hey, look, you nail this. You come in, you show that you're a leader, you step up, you prove yourself. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to take over the team at some point. That's something that people want to hear, especially drivers. Drivers want to hear that there's an opportunity that's greater just than the one that's presented to them at that time. The other one, and I think this is so crucial, and this is where so many, including myself, went wrong in the beginning, is they write out their standards and they write out their systems. Now, for those that are like myself, a driver, a high D, we are not systems people. However, you need to be able to implement something until you have the right amount of leverage around you to where someone else is implementing the systems. So I would just make sure that at a bare minimum, you work on your standards, right? What time are people coming in? And that's another point that I want to hit on. People need to get back in the office, okay? The days of just laying around on the couch, rolling out of bed whenever you want, those days are over, okay? You're going to get rolled out in a body bag if you stay focused on, how little can I work instead of how smart can I work and how can I show up? How can I collaborate? So you need to come up with the standards for time of arrival, number of contacts, number of appointments set, hours role played, hours prospected. You need to come up with all these different metrics so that in 3 months, the team member that you brought into your world and your company is not saying that you're not doing your job because you had the written standards and you had the systems in place for how you're going to help them to get to where they want to go. So there's actually a really cool quote, and it's by James Clear. He's the author of Atomic Habits. And he says that you do not have to rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So I think that's a really cool quote, because without a system in place for lead follow-up, for lead conversion, for client care, everything else starts to fall apart. The next one is get some education, get a coach, get a mentor. There's so many tools and tricks and hacks to do so much more in such a little amount of time, or really accelerate the growth curve to get to the next level. All the tools are right there, guys. Just reach out. If anybody needs help, you can reach out to me. More than happy to have a conversation or a quick call with you, because I really want to help to create more teams. I think that as we get further and further into this new cycle that we're moving into, the real estate space is really going to be separated by the teams and then the solo producers who are just kind of on their own trying to figure stuff out. And just the leverage piece alone of being around like-minded people at a frequent cadence is just so powerful. So I would really suggest that you start to consider this on your path to building a team and building a company. The other one is decide that you are willing to put in the work. So I really want to stress this, and this is the final point. It's not going to be an easy journey, okay? Nothing happens that's worth it. It's not easy, right? If it's worth it, it means that you have to put in the work to get there. So my suggestion is decide, make the commitment, talk to the family member, talk to whoever you have to, and just make the commitment that you might have to put in some more work in order to really build out this team and build out the movement. So here's the other and final thing that I want you guys to remember about this, okay? Don't get hung up and don't get in your head about what happens if this does not work, okay? Everybody's tried something and it just hasn't worked out the way that they thought. Or maybe they didn't get the right coach, or maybe they didn't get a coach at all. Maybe they didn't read a book. Maybe they made the wrong hire, right? I've made a lot of wrong hires, and I take full ownership of that. So don't worry about creating the perfect team, the perfect company. Just worry about starting. So that's it for today, guys. I really appreciate you checking out the podcast. Please continue to grow the movement. Please share this with anybody that can get value from it. Please ask them to give it a review. Get on YouTube, give us some likes, give us some listens, and I really appreciate it. So until next time, later.